A couple of topics of conversation that dominated the Packers offseason were two things. One, we were going to be hosting the NFL draft, which ended up being a complete success. And two, what do we do with our all pro corner in Jaire Alexander? Do we restructure a deal? What does that look like? Or do we cut him post June 1st? Of course, we already know the outcome of that situation. Brian Gutekunst and the Green Bay Packer organization were not able to come to terms with Jaire Alexander, hence why we cut him. We save a bunch of money. Now it is reported, Adam Schefter tweeted out that the Baltimore Ravens now have signed former cornerback for the Green Bay Packers, Jaire Alexander. Of course, we wish nothing but the best to Jaire Alexander, who brought the Green Bay Packer organization really good football when healthy for a lot of years. Of course, when healthy, and that just really wasn't the theme as of late. 3 of the last 4 years did not look good for Jaire's consistency out there. He just wasn't a reliable guy out there, especially when you started talking about facing guys like the Detroit Lions or the Minnesota Vikings, and when we really needed him out there. Okay, so mark it on your calendar. You've got December 27th. The Green Bay Packers are going to be hosting the Baltimore Ravens. This is going to be electrifying, of course, if Jaire Alexander plays in that game. I want you guys to leave your comments. What do you think percentage-wise that Jaire actually suits up and comes to Lambeau Field to play? I'm going to say 35% chance that he actually suits up and plays, but how cool would it be to have your former first-round pick, Jaire Alexander, go against this year's first-rounder in Matthew Golden? That would be an electrifying matchup to look forward to, but that's a big if Jaire Alexander is able to suit up and play. Okay, so speaking of defense, the Green Bay Packers defense. Okay, so you've got the Lions. I come across this article. It says the Detroit Lions are ready to dominate the NFC North again, but the Vikings, Packers have skills to challenge. Absolutely, they have skills to challenge. One of those skills to challenge the Detroit Lions, who I think would be a dark horse to win the NFC North this year. I think the Green Bay Packers have the best chance and the best odds. And one of the reasons for that is Jeff Hafley. Yes, losing a guy like Jaire Alexander to the Baltimore Ravens certainly doesn't help your case in that. But I think Jeff Hafley is a super talented and gifted defensive coordinator. Of course, we already know that, he's been in the league for some time, as a coach. He coached 7 seasons in the NFL, serving as a defensive back coach for the 49ers from 2016 to 2018 and the Cleveland Browns from 2014 to 2015. And then he was also the assistant defensive back coach in 2012 and a secondary safeties coach in 2013 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then, of course, he was with Boston College. And then you fast forward to last year and the success that he brought the Green Bay Packer defense, who we were struggling with some PTSD with Joe Barry and just the awful job that he did as a defensive coordinator in Green Bay. The Green Bay Packers finished 6th in points allowed, 5th in yards allowed. The last time the Green Bay Packers were inside the top 10 in both those categories was 2010. The group that they had this last offseason, one of the biggest reasons for that was, you talk about Xavier McKinney, adding a piece like that in free agency, Brian Gutekunst going and picking him up. What a solid piece that was to land in Green Bay. Jeff Hafley came into Green Bay and said, hey, listen, one of the biggest things we want to focus on is takeaways. And that's certainly something that they did. Okay. So again, losing a guy like Jaire Alexander is certainly going to hurt the Green Bay Packers, but they seem to feel quite confident with the guys that they have. I'm not. They've got th- 3 of their projected starters. You got guys like Kalen King, who could be a dark horse to really, climb up the ladder there in Green Bay to hopefully compete for a starting position. But if the Packers have to go outside of that, you look at best available free agents as of right now. You've got Asante Samuel Jr., a cornerback, age 25. Of course, it says right here, knocked for his poor tackling and inability to play pass coverage. Samuel is a playmaker who steadily improved in his Chargers tenure. He'd be a big asset for the right system, and the right system could be the Green Bay Packer organization. Jeff Halfley seems to bring out the best in some of the guys that are there. And then you've got Stephon Gilmore, of course, age 34. Age is certainly going to become a factor at some point in time for Stephon Gilmore. It already has affected him slightly. It says right here, it's remarkable how Gilmore continues to provide solid starting cornerback play via physicality and smarts. Most of his 34-year-old um, comrades are long retired. Stephon Gilmore is one of those guys, again, based on his physicality and his smarts out there on the football field. This dude can really provide an impact out there. And then you've got Rasul Douglas. Of course, the Green Bay Packers are very familiar with this guy. Douglas, it says right here, playmaking has led him to some great seasons, but the 2024 campaign wasn't one of them. And his lack of speed could make him a risky free agent pickup like most aging corners. Okay, so you look at that list and which of those three guys would you want to see in Green Bay if come training camp, some of these guys for the Green Bay Packers are maybe not stepping up and playing like they should. Maybe a guy like Kalen King, isn't playing up to the caliber that they want to see, or Carrington Valentine isn't playing up to the caliber that Jeff Halfley is hoping for. So the Green Bay Packers may have to look outside to free agency. There's some good pieces still available out there. Stephon Gilmore being one of them. That you wouldn't have to spend a whole lot of money to go out and get. Rasul Douglas is going to command a little bit more money, especially Asante Samuel, who's only 25 years old. He's going to command a little bit bigger of a price tag out there. But I want you guys to leave your comments. I actually think the Packers will be okay in their secondary, but I do think given a injury, if they sustain an injury, that's going to certainly dramatically impact what Jeff Halfley and his defensive schemes are able to do within our division and outside of our division. But I'm pumped up. We could potentially be playing Jaire Alexander December 27th. Mark it on your calendar. Again, I don't think the odds of us actually playing against him are going to be that favorable. Leave your comments. Let me know your percentage there. Again, I think 35% chance that Jaire Alexander actually suits up and plays against his former team at Lambeau come December 27th. But leave your comments, and as always, go Pack Go.